And the driver, the devotee driver, and one next to him. And when we made our first stop, we got out for some refreshment, some water. Everyone, because we got out of the cars, out of the car, everyone would come and look at us. Because there were these white faces with tilak on. These were village people. This was not even in the city, Calcutta, Bombay, Delhi. This was now in the country. So many of them, just like we had never heard of Krishna, they had never seen a Westerner. They had never seen this Anglo people, white people. And Prabhupada called us these dancing white elephants. Why? What does that mean even, a dancing white elephant? How can you not look at a dancing white elephant? That was us. He used us to bring the Indians back to their very own culture, that which they had lost. And so much hodgepodge, Prabhupada would say. They had no understanding of direct worship to the spiritual master, to the Supreme. So many gods, demigods. I saw that when I went to one house or another house. They made no distinctions. There was an altar, Ganesh is on the altar, Saraswati is on the altar, Kala is on the altar. Everyone's on the altar. Krishna's on the altar too. Shiva's on the altar. Sometimes even Lord Jesus is on the altar. Because that's playing your odds, right? If you play enough, you figure one of them, just worship them all. One of them you're going to hit the lotto. You're going to hit the big one. But he just told us who the big one was. Everyone's praying to demigods for so many things. He says, we're praying to Krishna to get out of this place, and not to go through this cycle back and forth, demigod worship, go to this planet, get these desires fulfilled, so many different desires. Of course, and most of it comes through Lakshmi, who they're also worshiping. But he said, Lakshmi's other name is Chanchala, which means very, what is the word? Fickle. Yes, thank you. Can't even remember English. Fickle means she doesn't stay in one place. She stays in one place. She sort of resides at the lotus feet. Narayan. That's Krishna. So he explained all these things to us. So when these people would see us, as Vaishnavas, it worked. Because everyone wanted what the Westerners had. Everyone was looking for the so-called opulence of Westerners. My parents, grandparents, from Italian descent, all my grandparents, both sides, mother's side, father's side, they all went to America in the 1920s, 1922 to be exact, to find to go to the USA where all the propaganda in these places, where the streets are lined in gold. And this was America, this is the idea. So everyone was going there. They're still going there. I was at the US Embassy in Delhi. We were getting her first visa, my wife's first visa. There was 60 windows. We had to walk a block long inside a building with 60 windows, all for applicants, visa applicants. Everyone trying to get to America to get a piece. We say a piece of the pie, the money pie. Everything's lost. But Prabhupada brought it back. When he was in India, he tried, before coming to America, he even tried to get just a brahmachari or two to come with him. He would tell families that had 4 or 5 boys, he would say, give me one son. Imagine the offer he gave these people. He said, you give me one son for a brahmachari to give him assistance. No one wanted to give anything up because their culture so much collapsed, they had no idea what was important, just like I didn't. We thought the only thing important was this material advancement. So he explained to us the very opposite. This material life is bringing us deeper and deeper. We say deeper in debt. Closer to the opposite of the spiritual world. Further down in the material world. So we were open. Us as youngsters, we didn't want what our parents worked so hard for. We were learning very quickly, having all these things. We were never happy. Anyway, they would see us, Bengalis, West Bengal, dark, and the village, big, whites of their eyes, and they would just look at us to their amusement. Gradually, that amusement turned to curiosity, and then to, as Prabhupada said, Indians, he said, you just have to turn them around. We're 90% towards Krishna, philosophically. Us Westerners, we were 10%, but he pointed us in the right direction, and giving us the opportunity to move very rapidly. He didn't concentrate. His business as a spiritual master gave him was to bring Krishna to the West. And that's what he did. So they were always so surprised. Every stop we would make, all we had to do was appear. And people would come. They would come to hear out of their curiosity. And then when he was in India for some time, his disciples were there. His Western disciples, European disciples. Some of them, at times, they would approach Prabhupada and said, I should learn Hindi to preach to the Indians. Prabhupada said, I've been preaching to them my whole life. He said, I can't make one devotee. He said, what are you going to do? It wasn't your time. Just like for us in America, there was a time. Prabhupada understood. Krishna has a plan. And gradually, of course, now everything, everywhere. You could go to anywhere in the West, any country, Europe, America, Canada, South America. If there's Indians there, they'll take very quickly. Because it's community, something they understand, but something they couldn't do on their own without philosophy. The philosophy of Krishna consciousness. The first time we went to Mayapur, Prabhupada had just purchased the first piece of land. And it was a little, we can have some family. It was a little, just a little hut built for him. It's a bamboo hut. It's a thatched roof. That's where he stayed. In Mayapur. That place is still there. I remember being with him there the first time. He stayed in the most austere conditions to spread this movement all over the world, to make everything so easy for us. And his pioneers, they were all his Western disciples. We all have to appreciate what they've done. It was these devotees that brought Krishna consciousness everywhere in the world. These American militia, white elephants. This was our business. And we were fallen. But he touched us. He's touched them. He's touching all of us by his mercy. It was just one room, a very small room. That pillar there was one. That was about it, a little bit out. That was everything. All four of us stayed in there. Prabhupada was behind one little bamboo wall. His sitting place, his bed was right there. Just on the other side, his servant, Sanskrit editor, and secretary. We could hear anything. Sometimes he would sit there in the day, and we would be on the other side. Devotees who were there, they would come in, who were living there locally, helping. There would be conversation going on. Prabhu rang his bell. He could have just said, Shruta. I would have heard him. He was 4 feet away on the other side. He rang his bell. Tell him to be quiet. So tell him, chant Hare Krishna. All I hear, he said, is gossip. That was the first time he said to me, this gossip, he said, destroys your Krishna consciousness. And that was that. So I just said, you have to be quiet, brother. You hear everything. That was 1973. I was back there again with Prabhupada. 1 year later, 1974. Now Prabhupada they just built a Lotus building. It wasn't finished, but it was there, it was livable. If there was a temple, Prabhupada would stay in a room at the temple. If it was nice enough to stay in, he would stay at the temple. Never wanted to be outside of the temple. So now he had his room there. There were 4 rooms on both sides in the Lotus building. So as soon as you walked up the stairs, 2 flights, to the left, there was his sitting room, then there was his bedroom, adjoining, and then the other rooms were left empty. But on the other side of the stairs were 4 more rooms. So now there's many devotees there for the festival. Now it had grown to a few people being there. Now there's hundreds, a few hundred. Western devotees from the West. Still, India devotees was slow coming. In Bengal, near Mayapur, they started coming quickly because it was very opulent. No one had seen anything like this. Buildings, running water. They were all living in their villages. They were very eager to come to the temple. Young boys started joining, became brahmacharis. And when they gathered together for the festival that year, they were across the hall from where Prabhupada was. One afternoon, he rang his bell. Again, it's a year later, I went into the room and offered obeisances. He said, tell them to be quiet. He said, all they do is gossip. This was the word Prabhupada used. English word, American word. In Sanskrit, we didn't say his disciples, we would say prajalpa, village talk. Prajalpa, gossip, same thing. Just means useless talk, chatter, like the frogs, broken, waiting for death to approach. He said, tell them to stop. He said, this gossip, he said, destroys your Krishna consciousness. He said it to me again. These devotees, I was a little servant boy. I was 21, now 22, 23. Some of my godbrothers, they were 30 years old already. That was like another generation. When you're 20, someone's 30. You see them, very senior. And to me, they were senior in every way, senior in age. They were devotees for 5 years more than I was. That was a big distance at that time, 5 years. He said, you tell them, be quiet. He didn't say it stopped your Krishna consciousness, slowed it down, chipped away. He said, destroys it, this fault finding, to see this one's doing it. This is what he heard. It was, on our parts, we thought it was innocent. We were just saying what our godbrothers, godsisters are doing. This one got married, this one got divorced, this one blooped. It's a word we used at that time when someone left Krishna consciousness. You ever heard that word? Bloop. Bloop is it's also an English word. You drop something in water. You drop it in water, it goes bloop. So very early on, it was coined by Golokananda Maharaja here. So even Prabhupada used it. It was bloop sound. But it means This gossip will destroy everything. All your hard work will be gone so quickly when we start criticizing others. Because our business is to work on the inside. Because we can't help anyone else unless we ourselves are Krishna conscious. I often say, you can't give something you don't have. Not possible. You can't give Krishna unless you have Krishna. Prabhupada had Krishna in his heart. Everywhere he went, he carried Krishna. Turned into a holy place, Tirtha, just by his lotus footprints walking around so many places. That was 1974. Other things were going on, of course. A beautiful veranda out front of the temple where his disciples, his entourage, and temple presidents like that, they would eat out front of Prabhupada's quarters. They would serve the prasadam. Prabhupada always liked to see what we were eating. Prasadam is very important. Two very important things. Chanting, because that's with the tongue. You chant with the tongue, you take prasadam. Krishna's on your tongue all the time. So he would come out at breakfast sometimes and he would just have his hand in his bead bag. He had just had breakfast. And then he just walked. You could know. You knew, I knew. I learned to know that he'd seen everything. He would see everything going on. He just looks like he's walking back and forth and chanting what he's inspecting. He's seeing what you're eating, how much you're eating, how you're eating, who's not eating. Everything he would see. Conscious. That's what it means to be conscious. Observe, understand, and you know what to do. Not just open your mouth. He knew what he wanted to say when he said something. I remember one day we were all sitting cross-legged on the floor eating on banana leaves. You know what the best thing you can eat on? Banana leaf. Most first-class plate is a banana leaf. They're understanding that more and more now. Some countries in Thailand are starting to make banana leaf, just cut banana leaves, sell the plates, making straws out of the thing. Most wonderful piece to eat from. After that, he said, banana leaf is best. After banana leaf, what is like, not marble, you look higher than marble, like onyx. Crystal, what do you call that? Onyx. That, not marble like, but better kind of marble, more rare. Then marble. So that's already three things. None of which we eat off of. Now, who can afford it? Banana leaves, you can all use that. I mean, that's plenty of banana leaves around. And then what comes next? Gold. Imagine, it's only number 4 on the list. You're eating off gold plate. Of course, then silver. And after silver, then you just go to your clay. That's all. And we, of course, in the West, our better ideas. We made nice plastic, stainless steel, all these things. In those days, where was a Vedic culture, what they do? The wealthy, they would throw away their plates after a meal. You replace them. So many things you learn being with Prabhupada, not just about Krishna consciousness. You learn all the different aspects of Vedic culture, Vedic life. So he's walking back and forth chanting. You don't hear him chanting in his bead bag very quietly. You see his hand turning the beads. So I saw him, Brahmachari serving the devotees, young Brahmachari, serving. We were young, they were younger, some of them 10, 12, 13, they're coming to the temple, happy to join. It's a wonderful life. At prasadam regularly, nice place to stay, even at that time. So he turned to one, he said something to him in Bengali. And then Prabhupada walked away. So when I saw Prabhupada was not looking, I said, what did Prabhupada say? Oh, he said, he told me to give you lots of prasadam. That's what we did. This was the beginning of our purification. Just fill up with prasadam. No limit. Finish everything, every last piece of rice on your plate. Whatever you take, but take as much as you want. That's how confident Prabhupada was. That's how much he understood the power of the Mahamantra, the power of prasadam, power of association. So I just laughed. And another time, he was walking back and forth, and I'm sitting there, the secretary's there, but the Sanskrit editor is not there. Prajumna. Panditji, Prabhupada called him, scholar, he was a scholar. Did most transliteration for Prabhupada's books, the word for word. So many hours, months, years. Prabhupada said, where's Prajumna? Because it's time for prasadam. No, and you might miss Mangalarti, you might miss Guru Puja. Prasadam? No, you don't miss prasadam. So, of course, I was always good. I said, Prabhupada, I say, he's not eating breakfast. He looked at me, he says, what do you mean he's not eating breakfast? I said, well, in the lecture, Yogi said, Prabhupada was always telling us, reduce our eating, reduce sleeping, reduce our material necessities, these bodily necessities. He wasn't talking about right then at the minute, but that's what we thought. We were young, we're still growing, and we thought we were supposed to reduce our eating, cut down. And I said to Prabhupada, I said, you were saying you eat too much and you sleep too much, so he feels he's oversleeping, so he wanted to reduce his eating. So he was expert, he knew everything, Prajumna, Ayurveda, he would read Ayurvedic books, he had books on anything to do with Krishna consciousness in some way or form, Vedic philosophy. So we saw in one place, it said, all you require is you have a big brain. Funded means big brain. So it said in there, you just blanch a dozen almonds. Normal almonds. You just blanch them overnight, you soak them in water overnight, you skin them in the morning. A cup of milk gives you everything you need. So Prajumna was starting to do that. So he called, Prajumna, come out here. Prajumna came out. Yes, Prabhupada. He said, why aren't you taking prasadam? Prabhupada, he knew before I told him. This was all part of Prabhupada teaching us, always teaching us. He said, well, Prabhupada, he said, if I eat, we all like to eat prasadam. We had no other sense gratification. It was transcendental, it was prasadam. Prabhupada told George Harrison in Bhaktivedanta Manor, whenever George Harrison would come, of course, they would cook very special prasadam for him, fried pakoras, cauliflower pakoras, of course, nice halva, puris, chutney. Chutney for us meant pineapple chutney, tomato chutney. And he'd have a plate, Prabhupada said, eat. I was there, 1970, George Harrison. Prabhupada, he said, I just recently ate, I'm not hungry. Prabhupada said, take prasadam. Eating is one thing, taking prasadam, that's a completely different thing. Not knowing two different things. Prasadam, Krishna's mercy. Yes, Prabhupada. And Prabhupada's talking with George and he's eating, as Prabhupada told him. So then he just put a little. And then Prabhupada said, give him more. George is saying, Prabhupada, he said, I'm full, I can't more. Prabhupada said, take more. So Prabhupada, he said, take more. Prasadam can never hurt you. Prasadam can never, always remember that. Prasadam can never hurt you. Sometimes if you eat too much, you will definitely feel reactions from it. But ultimately it can't hurt you, prasadam. Krishna prasadam, Maha prasadam, nothing better. So now he's talking to Prajumna there in Mayapur. And he says, you have to eat. Prajumna says, Prabhupada, if I eat, I sleep. He said, sleep all day if you have to. Sleep 10 hours if you have to. You have to take prasadam. Prabhupada always inflated numbers, whatever it was. He would ring the bell for a minute. When he rang the bell, you had about 30 seconds to get into the room. If you weren't in there within a minute, he had to ring that bell a second time. He wasn't happy. That was being a personal servant. You had to be there all the time, 24 hours a day, within range of the bell. And if he knew you weren't there, he'd ring the bell. And then when you finally answered the bell, he said, I've been ringing this bell for hours. Yes, Prabhupada. He said, Prajumna, you eat as much as you can, whatever you can digest. That's what he gradually told all this. Whatever you can digest, that's what you can eat. He told me, you saw me now, you think I was calling him one day, are you okay? Yes, Prabhupada. He said, look thin. I said, well, I also, you hear Prabhupada speak on the Vyasa every day, telling us to give these things up. Huh? The devotee doesn't sleep, doesn't eat, minimize. Talks about the Goswamis, sleeping under a different tree for a few hours. So you think you're ready to dive right in and do these things. Of course, there was no question we could do it. But we tried sometimes hard to reduce. So I said, Prabhupada, I'm trying to reduce. He looked at me like I was insane. He said, you have service to do. He said, you have to massage me. He said, you have to be strong. Give me massage. He said, eat whatever you can digest. So this was the difference between just hearing his lectures, reading his books, and then seeing how to practically apply it within our lives as individuals. You have to understand how to apply his rules and regulations in so many ways. And he gave so few rules and regulations. He just wanted us to take prasadam, chant, and give Krishna to everyone we saw. Through his books, through our speaking, through how we lived as an example. It's all he ever wanted. So that was one of the times, prasadam times. So now a year later, 1975, Gur Purnima time. Prabhupada had left Mumbai, it was called Mumbai now, in January of 1975. And in 2 months, he traveled around the world, stopped in about 12 temples, and arrived in Mayapur for Gur Purnima festival. It would become, at that time, the biggest festival we'd ever held anywhere. 500 devotees arrived from all around the world. Mostly America, Canada, Europe, South America. And devotees in 10 years, Prabhupada had spread the holy name, as Lord Chaitanya wanted, as was predicted by his spiritual master, was predicted by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, was predicted in Shastra, that someone would do it. So Prabhupada took the tour from Mumbai, then he stopped in Tokyo, Japan, he stopped in Hawaii, he was going east, then he stopped in Los Angeles, California, then he went to Mexico City, and there things became even more exciting. He was seeing, literally 10 years later, that the holy name was everywhere he went. Devotees were filling rooms. Mexico City, there was hundreds of devotees in the room, chanting devotees. Every temple now Prabhupada went to, every temple he went to, he had tears in his eyes, seeing what he had done. He didn't take credit. He said it was Lord Chaitanya. The next stop was Caracas, Venezuela. Now we're in South America, another country now. Mexico was part of North America or Central America. Then you have Central America, all these little countries, and then South America, very big area. Brazil, Argentina, Peru, Guyana, so many places. So when Caracas he arrived, and on the altar, who was there? Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda. Prabhupada started speaking how merciful these two lords are. He said, Parama Karuna, Pahudvijana. And tears filled his eyes as he spoke. He said, they've traveled very far to be with you. Very personal. Huh? It is personal. It's the Supreme Lord, Lord Chaitanya. So Prabhupada gave them credit. He said, they have traveled very far. But who traveled? There's Prabhupada doing all this traveling. 75, 76, 77 years old, traveling around the world, liberating everyone in every country of the world. But of course, he took no credit. Then from Caracas, Venezuela, he was going to go, I think even to Brazil, Ecuador. He was going to go somewhere, but it didn't happen. So he went to Miami, Florida, back to the USA. And in Miami, Gornatai is on the altar. And again, he's delivering the same lecture. It's the very same lecture, not identical, very similar. Always talking about how merciful is Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda. He said they've come here, they've made it so easy for you to become Krishna conscious. Not that we have a dozen different demigods, personalities on the altar. No, just these two personalities, these two lords, delivering everyone. So then, after Miami, for just 2 days, he went just a few hours up to Atlanta, Georgia. Now he's in Atlanta, Georgia, and he goes into the temple room, his arrival address, and he sits down on the Vyasasana, always just to his right side from where he's sitting. From here it was on the left, always on that side. And he sits down, and he just sees these amazing Gornatai deities in Atlanta. Nupanihati Dham. Beautiful, powerful, potent. We've been there ourselves over the last few years. A few times I've been there for the Panihati festival. I get to go on the altar sometimes, do some abhisheks and things, and I just stand by Lord Nityananda. Potent. Prabhupada put so much potency with his love. And he started to speak. As soon as he started, he was already choked up. So choked up. Tears were in his eyes. And again he said, Parama Karuna Pahudvijana. The two lords. So merciful, he said. Because he saw how merciful. He sees now the entire world chanting Hare Krishna. Everywhere he goes, people are chanting. He saw the seeds being planted. This was the early days. These were the very early days. He said they're so merciful. He said they're more merciful than Krishna. He said Krishna, he's merciful. But he requires, Sarva Dharman Prityaja Mamekam Saranam Bhaja. He requires you surrender. But he said, they're so merciful, they don't require. And he's talking is becoming more and more difficult. He said, they don't even require. He said, they're so kind. And he just closed his eyes and went into ecstasy. He couldn't say anything else. This was one of the first times so many devotees that got to see Prabhupada, and the room was packed. We didn't hear a sound. He closed his eyes. We all just sat there. And we understood. Not that he had nodded out. He was in ecstasy. Immediately our whole consciousness just starts to rise every second. You realize what's going on and you begin to feel Srila Prabhupada's little bit. All of us could feel. He couldn't contain it. I saw it this entire 2 months. He couldn't hold back his ecstasy everywhere he was going. He wound up just stopped talking on the Vyasa sign. He would close his eyes. He couldn't say anything. He was so filled with joy, happiness, ecstasy, seeing what he had done and thinking, I haven't done anything. Only my Guru Maharaj and my disciples, right? And Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, they're doing everything. This is Vaishnava. Never doing anything. He does the most. The one who understands, I'm not doing anything. It's all Krishna. So to move along, where should we start? At 5 o'clock now. 15 more minutes. 15 more. Okay. I'll wrap it up. No, I'll have some time. This is nice. So then, that night, very special night. Every evening, I would give Prabhupada a massage in his bed. And then I would sit on the floor. He would sit up in bed, or he would lie down. Sometimes he'd sit up, chant japa. He goes, be back, pull that. Sometimes he would just lie down. Sometimes he'd lie back a little. This time he was just lying back in this room. Still there, this room is there in Atlanta. This tirtha. But when he was lying back, there was a painting on the wall. Krishna and Balaram, the cowherd boys, young boys, 8, 9 years old, with the calves. You could see in the picture the thousands of calves in the painting. And Prabhupada was looking at it, and I'm sitting there, massaging, kneading his legs. He said, like chapati dough, just knead. And so that's what I did. Sometimes he'd say harder, go harder. Sometimes he'd close his eyes at night. It'd be 10 o'clock at night. And you just kept going until he'd go, okay. He knew all the time whether sometimes you think he's sleeping. It's like a little, because I gotta go to bed, I gotta get up and go. I'm sure he would be laughing at all of us. He'd be laughing at me, seeing the silly boy. And he'd play, he would just let you. But then he said, I like the cowherd boys very much. As soon as he said that, I knew. Because whenever he would start speaking at night, it was very different. This was his time, This was his bhajan, his private, his ecstasy, and his seeing. He would see a picture, a painting. He would see everything. I don't know what he saw, but I know him and I were definitely seeing very different things. I saw 2-dimensional painting on the wall. Then he said, every day, I'm massaging all the time. I was saying that the other day. Whatever I got to hear from Prabhupada was when I was connected to him, doing my service. You want some ecstasy, you got to do something. Not just sit there, read, and hope you get filled. No, you got to go do something to help him. The more you help him, the more he helps you, the more he feeds you with Krishna. So he said every day, he said, in the morning, he said, Krishna, Balaram, the cowherd boys, he said they would go into the forest, of course, or they would go into the grassing area with the calves. He said they were just young boys. He said they didn't herd the cows, they herded the calves. And I don't say a word, I'm just massaging him. It was like a sponge trying to hear this. And then he said, their mothers, Mantajis, they would all make tiffins, prepare lunch for their boys. For the boys, they prepare their lunches. And of course, Mother Yasoda, she looked nice. Nanda Maharaj, nice, opulent. He said, Kachuri, Loglu, all of them like that. And the cowherd boys, some of the other cowherd boys, they didn't have such opulent. They would have rice, chapati, dal. He's talking. Massaging, he's talking. And he says, and then when it was time for lunch, of course, they're always playing. They're young boys. That's what you do. You play. Always playing. Always having fun. Always seeing Krishna Kripa, where we stayed at, what's her name? Priyadarshini in Amar's home. 9-year-old Krishna Kripa. I always thought he's just like one wild cowherd boy. Always playing, having fun, making fun. Once, boy, if you push the button, you won't stop. That's a boy, cowherd boy. So he said, then they would grab Krishna's lunch, they take it from him, and they start playing, keep away, keep it away from Krishna and Balaram. And ultimately they would give Krishna and Balaram their lunch. And they would sit there, Krishna's lunch, and eat his lunch. And he just gave me a glance and said, I just want to go back to the spiritual world and eat kachori and loglu with Krishna. And he closed his eyes. That was it. This was Prabhupada. This is the person who we're following, who we're serving. So we can ultimately go back home, back to Godhead, and eat kachori and loglu with Krishna. That's the goal. Not to try to dig a settlement into this world here. I tried, we all try. It doesn't work for devotees. Krishna's going to take it all. If you're lucky, he takes it all away over time. That's his mercy. Took it away from Prabhupada. Also had his businesses for years and years. Making so much money. He wanted more money to be successful so he could fulfill his spiritual master's desires. But he took everything from him, he said, left him with nothing. So that was Atlanta. Then we made a quick stop to Dallas, and then went to England. On the Vyasa-san in England, same thing. He's giving class, because he's just feelings. I don't know what he looked, and I said, but what I saw was, he had done it. It's like he had done it. He spread Krishna consciousness as one person all around the world by his purity, by not deviating one word from his spiritual master's instructions. The potency was there. That faith, complete faith, unflinching faith. If I just follow the orders of my guru, I can do it. Because I have the Maha Mantra. My spiritual master and the Maha Mantra. So then he went to Tehran, Iran. Spent some days there. Then he went to Mayapur. 500 devotees that I had said now are at the festival, all from Western countries. Handful of Indian devotees. There were somewhere there. By that time, Golokananda Maharaj was there. Many others are still with us. And when he arrived, same thing. He goes to class. And there, of course, Shri Radha Madhava on the altar. But again, now he's at the home of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. And he's seeing now hundreds of temple rooms. At that time, it was just the ground floor of the Lotus building. Packed, hundreds of devotees. And Prabhupada's speaking again. And he goes into ecstasy. Now there's not 100, 150, 500 devotees from all around are in there. And Prabhupada's eyes just closed. I'm getting used to this now. This is like the regular thing. Prabhupada going into ecstasy. What a wonderful experience to see. This is our process. We just completely right out of our bodies. Prabhupada brought us right out of our bodies. So now there's 500 in a room. Imagine, 3 times the size. Not a sound. And it went on, you don't know, it might have been 30 seconds, maybe it was a minute, maybe a minute and a half. You don't know because you just sat. You didn't even chant on beads because it would make noise. We appreciated it so much. If it would go on forever, we'd be happy. But right behind them, there was lots of space. The devotees are also all behind them. And one of them, Namo Vishnu Padaya, Prabhupada opened his eyes. And the kirtan began. We had kirtan. So by the end of the kirtan already, we're arguing. Devotees are arguing. Why did you do that? You shouldn't do that. You should just let Prabhupada be in ecstasy. No, we should stop, chant. Anytime you just chant Hare Krishna. That was his position. Other devotees are saying, no, we shouldn't disturb Srila Prabhupada. Imagine, we can argue over anything. People we can argue about anything. It's not difficult. So then, we were walking upstairs, and the secretary, Brahmananda Maharaj, and talking with others, and I'm next to Prabhupada, going into the room, and I come out of the room, and we're still discussing, we should have done this, we should have not done this. And so Brahmananda said, come on. So we go into Prabhupada's room, and offer obeisances, and he's sitting there. You don't just go into Prabhupada's room, he rings a bell. So we're in, and he said, yes. And Maharaj said, well, Prabhupada, at class this morning, he said, you went into ecstasy. So we're trying to figure out, Prabhupada said, I don't do that very often. Immediately, there's a very humble response. He said, I don't do this very often, he said. He knew, he was aware of what was going on. It's not like he was unconscious, he was completely conscious. Yes, but Prabhupada, when it happens, he said, what should we do? He says, devotees, he said, no one knows. Some say we should chant, some say we should. He said, just chant Hare Krishna. He just wanted us to get out of the room. Why are you talking to me about this? He was embarrassed in front of us. It looked like he was embarrassed. He says, what are you saying? He said, it's not like this happens often. He was always under control. That would have been his life had it not been for us needing him so much to become Krishna conscious. So then that was that. Then the next thing was that afternoon, everyone came into Prabhupada's room. That was his greeting. It was when he arrived, his arrival. So they came to the room. The building had just been getting finished. It was beautiful. Bhavananda, he said, Prabhupada, it's so beautiful what you have done. Prabhupada said, I ain't done nothing, he said. It's all by the mercy of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Again, never. I don't do anything. He did everything. He said, it's by the mercy of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He said, this building, he said, I had some ideas what Krishna has done. Then he got a little serious. He said, it was predicted, he said, by my Guru Maharaj, by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that someone would come, and that person would spread. He would bring people from all every country to Mayapur, all the different countries, every different languages would come to Mayapur. They'd be chanting together, one people, because we are all one, not this skin. That's what he spoke about all the time. We're not American, Hindu, Christian, Muslim, British, European. It's all nonsense. It's all bodily designation. It's everything he fought about the entire time he was here. Well, all spirit souls, servants of Krishna. Das Vidas Anudas. You say, yeah, we're all one. So then he said, Bhaktivinoda Thakur predicted someone would come. Then he said something. Only time he ever said it. He said, that person I may be. And as soon as he said it, the next thing he said, he looked at Jaipataka, who was running Mayapur management so much. He said, you planted crops, you planted bananas, so many kinds of bananas. He immediately changed the subject. No chance to flatter him, to glorify him. He didn't want to hear it. What he had said, he was already, I said it. He said it in front of all of us. Perhaps I'm that person. Of course he was that person. No other person was. There was no question. And then again he looked at Jaipataka. That's what I mentioned this morning. He said, the Sarabi cow, he said, the cows we have here, you can mate with one Jersey cow. It's Western, from the West. You mate them, he said, then you'll have nice combination, more cream in the milk, and they'll be able to maintain the hot weather in Mayapur, unlike where they're from. Jersey cows from cool climate. England, from Northern America, they brought them. So immediately he was making practical suggestions what to do. So that was there. There's one other thing maybe I'll think of it, but we can stop here. Are there any questions, comments, concerns, anything?
5 to 10 minutes questions and answers sessions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We're waiting for prasadam coming.
Oh, okay. I'll speak another hour. We'll be dying for prasadam. We have something else too that's going to take some time. I brought a very special thing I travel with. Everyone knows, these are slippers, airline slippers. These particular airline slippers are from 1975. Prabhupada and I were on a Japan Airlines flight. You can see little insignia on there, JAL, J-A-L, airline flight. So back in those days, even you were in economy class, you got a little special things, for your flight, earplugs, eye shades, and slippers. So I took Prabhupada's shoes off and I put these slippers on him. And after the flight, I kept them. So these slippers were worn by His Divine Grace. There's not very much footwear of Srila Prabhupada's that he placed his lotus feet in. So this is them. These are the, you have the hardback book and these are like the softbound cover of Prabhupada's shoes. But they're just as potent. Bhagavad Gita, hardbound, softbound, same. So everyone gets to come up and do this. You have to put these on your head. You get the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, very special. So I do that especially because in my traveling and all, I may give a little, I may give nothing, but I can give you everything right here. The feet that went in here, I massage them every day, morning and evening. You can never get enough mercy from your spiritual master. I told you at nighttime, when I massaged him, I would just move around and go to the other side of the bed and massage. And there were those evenings when Prabhupada was lying down, looking very still, looking like he was sleeping. He was never sleeping. Even when he was sleeping, he wasn't sleeping. He could open up his eyes, but when he had his eyes closed, there were a few evenings I'd be massaging his feet. It's always ended with his lotus feet. I'd pull his toes. One time when I was massaging his legs, he put his hand out. He said, "Do my fingers." So of course I grabbed his finger and I said, because in the day I, pull him, crack the knuckles, do everything, every part of his body. And he would just sit there so peacefully, just eating him up, just touching him everywhere, just feeling that transcendental form, golden, effulgent, transcendental body. So now I'd be at the foot of the bed and said, do my fingers. So I grabbed his fingers and he looked at me laughing, no, my fingers, and he wiggled his toes. He wanted me to massage his toes, but he said, my fingers. That was also in 1973. Then 2 years later, one day, evening time, 10 o'clock at night, and I'm just, looking back, I think, oh, what a useless person I was. Half-hearted. I'd be massaging. 2 years later, he goes, do my fingers. Again, I just grab his hand. And again, he looks at me, he starts laughing. No, my fingers, he wiggle his toes. Imagine that, he's telling you to massage his feet. So with his eyes closed, I massage his feet. And then I kneel down, scrunch a little more, and I put my head right on his feet. That's how much, no matter how much you had of Prabhupada, it was never enough. Some people, they got to see him for a few minutes. Their whole life would change. Me, I just kept wanting it to change all the time. And I knew I need all the mercy I can get when I can get it. That loyum, that greed, that's what gets you Krishna. When you don't want anything else but those lotus feet, that means all you want to do is serve that person. Because at those lotus feet, the very molecules, Raj, the dust of Vrindavan, Krishna himself, it's right there. So whatever dust was on it, it just collected on your head, your little bald head. So that was what it was like. When we were in Atlanta, and Prabhupada it was also what always encouraged us all. We didn't just work. We didn't get money. None of us got money. So all we got was more service, a place to lie down at night, and all you could eat. Hopefully, as much as you wanted. That was our rewards. But our reward was so much more. He gave us life. He breathed life into us dead bodies, simply trying to survive, enjoy. So much we tried more and more and more. And you can see, just as I said again in the morning, it started, Prabhupada said, the castor seed. You get the oil from the castor seed, you light your lamp, you have light. But no, we've got to have electric light, take oil out of the ground, do so much endeavor, so much work, so much money, and all the time forgetting Krishna. And now what do you see? Everyone with the phone in their face. We all do it. We all do it. But what do we do with it? We disconnect from everyone. We thought we were impersonalists then. Everyone's so impersonal. I've had people tell me, adults, devotees, they see people when they go to school and all. The children, they hardly know how to actually talk to each other. They're just twiddling this whole time. So we're becoming further and further and further away from Krishna. This is Kali Yuga. The Prabhupada gave us the way out. And he said, and I see 50 years. I was born in 1951. At that time, growing up at the 50s, Maya was always there. It was very innocent. People were so much more innocent. Youngsters were so much, in the West even, so much more innocent than they are now. Everyone, they grow up immediately. They know everything by the time, everything materially, how to enjoy. Horrible. Prabhupada said it's just going to get worse and worse. He said, you don't want to come back here. Don't think I'll just do some business I've got things to do this lifetime, I'll work on it. I have a guarantee, wherever I stop, I can begin there. Don't think you're going to come back to this place. Even you come back to this place, much more hellish place, as it is now, from when I was young. So much violence, so much cruelty everywhere. So Prabhupada saved us. So, any more questions? We'll start with okay. How would you like to do this? Yeah. What do you do? Yeah, you can do it that way. This side, that side. You can do it quickly. Not one at a time, let everybody just kind of crowd around.